Jane knew she had to act fast. She compiled all the evidence she had gathered and presented it to the top management at work. In the wake of Mr. Xavier's resignation, the office buzzed with a mix of relief and tension. For Jane, the aftermath of the scandal was a whirlwind of emotions as she grappled with the fallout of her former boss's actions. But amidst the chaos, she knew one thing for certain. She was determined to rebuild her life and career, no matter the obstacles in her path. As Jane returned to her desk after the upheaval of Alexander's downfall, she couldn't shake off the lingering unease that settled over the office like a thick fog. It was as though the shadows of Alexander's deceit still lingered in the corners, casting doubt and suspicion over everything. Despite her best effort to focus on her work, Jane found herself distracted by the weight of everything that had transpired. She couldn't shake off the feeling that there was still more to uncover, more secret lurking beneath the surface waiting to be revealed. One day, while sorting through some old files, Jane stumbled upon a document that sent a shiver down her spine. It was an email thread between Alexander and a mysterious figure discussing plans for a secret project. Curiosity piqued, and Jane began to dig deeper, determined to uncover the truth. As she delved into the mysterious project, Jane discovered a tangled web of deceit and corruption that stretched far beyond anything she could have imagined. It seemed that Alexander had been involved in a scheme to embezzle funds from the company, using his position of power to manipulate others and cover his tracks. Shocked and outraged by what she had uncovered, Jane knew she had to act fast. She compiled all the evidence she had gathered and presented it to the top management at work. Mr. Mahmood, the general manager, was the first to take a look at all the evidences. With shock and surprise in his face, he passed it to the other top management staff to see. They were all surprised and shocked as well. They were dumbfounded not because what was presented by Jane was new, but how she laid her hands on the evidence as they were all involved. After what seemed like weeks of waiting with no clear action from the management, it became clear to her that there were those within the company who were still loyal to Alexander, determined to protect their own interest at any cost. Also, they started to see Jane as a threat, trying to undermine her effort and discredit her testimony, and were very eager to silence her before she could expose her findings further. Despite the setbacks, Jane refused to back down. She knew that the truth had come to light no matter the cost. And as she fought so hard to expose the corruption within the company, and also to get justice for everyone that has been hurt by Alexander, she discovered a strength and resilience she never knew she had. She didn't want this round of evidence taken lightly, as it was her only chance to get him behind bars for abusing her and other women sexually. With the support of her colleagues and allies, Jane pressed on, determined to see justice served. And as the evidence against Alexander mounted, it became clear that his crimes were even more extensive than anyone had realized. In the end, Alexander's crimes were laid bare for all to see. He was arrested and charged with embezzlement, fraud, and a litany of other offenses. And as he was led away in handcuffs, Jane couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction, knowing that justice had finally been served. With the help of a team of dedicated lawyers whom she had contracted their services, she took her case to court, laying the evidence against Alexander with meticulous precision. In the courtroom, the atmosphere crackled with tension as Jane and her legal team squared off against Alexander and his allies. But as witness after witness took the stand, the truth began to emerge, painting a damning picture of corruption and deceit at the highest levels, and it implicated 95% of top management staff. In fact, They were all in the habit of abusing younger ladies sexually under the guise of giving them a job. As the trial reached its climax, Jane found herself facing off against Alexander in a showdown that would determine the fate of them both. With steely resolve, she stood her ground, refusing to be intimidated by his smug demeanor and silver-tongued lies. In the end, justice prevailed. Alexander and his cohorts were found guilty on multiple counts charge of manipulation under pretense, sexual abuse, embezzlement, and fraud, and they were sentenced to a lengthy prison time. It was a victory for Jane, for the truth, and for all those who had been wronged by his actions. But the story didn't end there. With Alexander out of the picture finally, Jane was promoted to take his place as the head of the company. It was a bittersweet victory, but Jane was determined to make the most of it. Under her leadership, the company underwent a transformation. Jane implemented new policies and procedures to ensure transparency and accountability, and she worked tirelessly to create a workplace culture where everyone felt safe and respected. And as she looked out over the office, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride, knowing that she had made a difference. She also knew that the fight was far from over. There were still countless others out there who had been victims of abuse and exploitation, and she was determined to continue fighting for them. To all the women out there who have been undermined and abused, I urge you to speak up. Your voice is powerful and your story deserves to be heard. Together, we can create a world where no one has to suffer in silence. Even in the face of adversity, we must never lose sight of our principles and values. We must always stand up for what is right, even when it seems impossible. And most importantly, we must never underestimate the power of perseverance and determination to bring about positive change in the world. Thank you for watching.